How we doing, everybody? It's your guy Wardy here. It's July 18th, 2025, and we're still on the road. That's why I got lobsters on the wall behind me and not my Mets newspapers I usually have, but that's okay because we got more Mets reporting to break down that I'm oh so excited to do so. And in case you're saying, Wardy, why are you excited to get into the latest of Mets land? That's because we're a couple weeks away, not even from the MLB trade deadline at the time of this video dropping. The Mets are going to make moves. We're just trying to figure out to what degree and how many players are they going to acquire for the better leading into their hopefully deep playoff run here in 2025. Well, what if I told you that in today's reporting that we're going to break down, not only are the Mets still in the market for starting pitcher Mitch Keller from the Pittsburgh Pirates, but they're being deemed potentially as now the front runners for Mitch Keller. So what has changed on that front? Where's that reporting stemming from? That's what we'll get into along with Keller, his game, and what it may take to acquire the young right-hander. We're also going to get into a absolutely dominant southpaw, one of the best lefty relievers in all Major League Baseball this season. Denny Coulombe is not only interested by many teams, but one of them is most certainly the New York Mets. We're going to get into Danny, his game, the potential trade that can happen, what it may take to acquire said reliever, and what the Mets will be getting immediately for the better to impact their bullpen here in this deep 2025 season. Guys, a lot to get into, not a whole lot of time to waste, so let's sit back, relax, and get yourselves ready for the ride, which is our latest New York Metropolitan breakdown. And in case you guys did not see yesterday, we came out with a big video on Mets top 10 trade deadline targets, and I even cheated because I actually broke down 12 players for you guys just because Wardy's that nice. So in case you guys did not check out the video that dropped late night this past day because I wanted to get it out before the following day, please make sure to do so, everybody, as we broke down everybody and your mother that you need to know about as a potential fit for this Mets team. And lo and behold, a day after making that video, we're breaking out a player that we have yet to discuss. Why? Because it's trade rumor season, everybody. So let's hop right into this one. But of course, shout out our amazing sponsors that make today's show possible, as well as you guys hitting that like and subscribe on your way in, and let me know your key thoughts in the comments down below. And that is thanks to our great friends at SeatGeek that have you covered for all your ticketing needs. Simply utilize our promo code WARDY10, link down below in the description. That way you too will get 10% off your next Mets ticket purchase, comedy show ticket purchase, concert show ticket purchase, whatever you need in the ticketing space. SeatGeek has you covered, everybody, as well as our great friends here that many of you guys know well, America's #1 sportsbook, that being at BetUS. Please make sure you guys bet responsibly should you have interest, but if you do, head over to betus.com.pa today and utilize our promo code YouTube150 because you're going to get a 150% bonus on your first deposit. And as you guys can see here, grade these Mets draft picks between Mitch Voit at the 38th pick and Antonio Jimenez. I like the Voit pick quite a bit. I like Jimenez too, but I'm not going to go the lengths to give this an A grade right away. I know we got some people saying, is Mitch Voit the biggest steal of the draft? Kind of not accurate in my humble opinion, but that's okay. I'm going to go with B here on the grade for total. I like these picks plenty, but obviously you have to wonder what exactly will they amount to at the major league level should they get to the bigs, and there's a lot of uncertainty there. So I'm going to go with a B grade for this, and I want to see from you guys, how would you grade these draft picks in the comments down below from A to F? Let's hear it, and as always, shout out BetUS that not only has you covered with fun picks, props, plays like this, everybody, but also has you covered with the typical Mets money line, obviously over under, everything in between. They have you covered, so please make sure you do it responsibly. But as we get right into this, everybody, let's first start today's discussion by getting into the reliever that I'm beyond ecstatic to break down, because this is a guy that I've had on my radar for a little bit, but I didn't go to the lengths to even mention him in my previous video, mainly because of the fact that there's been no linkage between himself and the Mets up until now, present day. So let's get into this reporting, where exactly it stems from, everybody, and what we got to talk about here. Because as you guys and gals can see with me with your guy Wardy right now, let's go ahead and pull this up right here, just like that, guys. As you all can see, and let's of course move this right here just for a second, guys. You see here from John Heyman, shout out to Trey Lindor on X for doing a little screenshot here, but you can find this from John Heyman's latest article that he came out over the past 24 hours with the post. Twins lefty reliever Danny Coulombe interests the Mets and should interest the Yankees too. Now, let's get into who Danny Coulombe is. Why you should be excited about this, everybody. Because I know you might be saying to yourself, Wardy, I don't know who this schmuck is. Why are we going to talk about him? Oh, great, another bum reliever to come into Queens. What if I told you that is so far from the truth that you might be jaw-dropped by the numbers that you are now about to witness? Everybody, let me present to you veteran southpaw, the young age of 35, Danny Coulombe having himself a 0.68 ERA season. I'm sorry, what? Where did this come from? Well, where it came from was from Danny being an absolute dog so far this season. And as we expand on Danny and his game, let me show you some highlights here from this past season. Couldn't get too many clips for what he has done greatly so far this year, unfortunately, everybody. But I do have some clips here to share for each and every one of you from what he did in 2024 there, repping the Baltimore Orioles. Because Danny is a multi-time Minnesota Twin. He was with the Twins for a couple years, then he went to Baltimore the last 2 seasons, and now he's back with Minnesota this season. But what you're seeing highlight-wise is exactly what he's doing this season, but even better. Look at that nasty breaking ball. I'd be amped up too to end the inning that way. I mean, look at this guy. And 35 games this season and 26 plus innings. He has a 0.68 ERA, a 2.73 expected ERA, a sub-2 FIP, a sub-3 SI ERA, a sub-1 WHIP, 29 strikeouts, roughly 10 strikeouts per 9 to 2.36 walks per 9. Why does Danny Coulombe make endless sense for this Mets team? You not only bring stability of a southpaw option in this bullpen to pair with Brooks Raley, and that's the importance here, everybody. I know some of you guys are saying, listen, Brooks Raley is coming back from injury. He's looked amazing in rehab. He's won basically 10 scoreless innings in rehab. He's been electric. But here's the thing. Even with how much we expect a guy like Brooks Raley to dominate, you still want another formidable lefty option in this bullpen. I am sick and tired of the Mets going every single year with nothing more than one decent lefty in their bullpen and the other guy either being batting practice or they just don't have another option. Because with guys like AJ Minter and Danny Young going down with injury, between Jesus Cabrera getting DFA'd in the first half of the season very early on, as well as other southpaws just not working out consistently, you can only throw out Jose Castillo out there for so long before it's going to blow up in your face. The Mets want stability there. Danny Coulombe checks off every box, and he's a rental. This is as Stearns as it gets, everybody. A soft-tossing southpaw. And I know you're probably saying, Wardy, haven't you been the type of guy to advocate for a lefty reliever that throws gas versus being a soft-tosser? Yes, and that is the one critique that I will make about the Mets should they actually land Danny. That's the only criticism I have. It's not on the results. It's on the type of reliever that he is, because he profiles similarly to a Brooks Raley than he would, say, a Gregory Soto or an Aroldis Chapman, some key relievers that we broke down in our video yesterday. Garrett Clevenger falls in that category because he at least sits mid-90s on the gun, even though he's not touching 100 or 103 the way Chapman is. The point is that if you already are going to have a soft-tossing southpaw in your bullpen, you probably want to have a complementary southpaw who's a bit opposite, meaning that, okay, if Raley's going to be touching, low 90s max, then you would love a guy that's touching high 90s towards triple digits. That's why I think Gregory Soto makes a lot of sense for this team. But Danny Coulombe has had the track record this year, especially, and throughout his career, as you can see, a career 3.27 ERA. There is a lot to love, and what you're getting right there in someone like Danny, everybody, and for that reason alone, that is why I want the Mets to absolutely continue to bark up this tree, because this is a guy that can come in and be a huge weapon for you, a force right away, and he's been consistent, right? He had a .68 ERA this season. He had a 2.12 ERA last year and a 2.9 expected ERA. The year before that, he had a 2.8 ERA with a 3 expected ERA. The year before that, he had a 1.46 ERA with a 3 expected ERA. But he has been a dog each of the past 5+ seasons. So the notion that, oh, the Mets are just bringing in a no-name schmuck that can't pitch well, that they're buying low on, farthest thing from the truth. And the best part, his K-to-walk ratio has been pretty darn strong every single season, with the exception of his little stint in 2022, where I'm sure he dealt with ailment because he only pitched 12 innings that year and had the same K to 9 ratio as he did there with the walk per 9. But still, lots of love here with what you're getting in a guy that had roughly 10 strikeouts per 9 this season. And as we also take a look here at the Baseball Savant numbers, everybody, what is there not to love? If you guys are simple, if you like red circles, just look beside me here. You got Danny, who's in the elite percentiles. We're looking pitching run value. Fastball run value is in the 90th plus percentile. Breaking run value is above league average. Off speed, he's got nothing because he doesn't throw off speed. Expected ERA, 90th plus percentile. Expected batting average, 75th to 80th percentile. Fastball velo's down because, again, he's a soft-tossing southpaw. Average exit velocity, 90 plus percentile. Chase percentage, 100 percentile. He's the best pitcher in baseball when it comes to chase percentage. That is not an exaggeration. That's a fact. Whip percentage, he's well above league average. K percentage, he's in the 85th to 90th percentile range. Walk percentage, he's in the 80th plus percentile range. Barrel percentage, he's in the 100th percentile. No one is barreling Danny Coulombe this season. You guys catch my drift? This is a guy that can come in, dominate against lefties, handle righties as well that we're seeing. And when we actually look here further on the splits on how batters have fared against him, everybody, let's take a look and do exactly that, because just on how batters have fared against his pitches, with the cutter, for example, opponent batting average has a 190 average. The sinker, 190. The sweeper, 111. And we know the Mets love their southpaws. I have sweepers, sinkers. You know, I'm thinking of a Mr. Shamanai right away. He loves to go high sink piece in the zone. Sweeper down and away against lefties, especially. Four seam, opponent batting average of 214. And the knuckle curve, which he's only thrown 15 times this year, has been batting practice. Batters batting 500. So do not expect the knuckle curve utilized much unless the Mets can really get the most out of him and his arsenal. But the point that I'm trying to make here, everybody, is that when you think of relief options for this team that makes sense, I think can help them now, and on top of it all, you're not going to have to give up the farm for a rental soft-tossing southpaw. As dominant as he has been this season, you are most certainly not going to have to give up as much as you would for a fellow rental and a Aroldis Chapman. What it will take to land Coulombe, I'd imagine, will obviously be back-ended prospects. The Mets could probably make a deal done happen here with two prospects in the, top 15, getting out of the top 15 to top 25 range, kind of in that gap, I would say. Potentially maybe a little bit more significance there if the Twins get very stubborn and maybe a lot of teams have interest in Danny. But even with how dominant of a season that he's been having, I do not think that this is going to cost the Mets a top prospect. I think that this would cost multiple mid-level type guys. And then if it's something beyond that, we'll worry about that should we get there. But Mets fans, I definitely want to hear from you guys in the comments down below. Are you for or against the current pursuit of Danny Coulombe to be added as a southpaw option in this Mets bullpen? Because again, when it comes to checking off boxes, there are few guys that are checking off more boxes and doing it at a better rate right now than what Danny can as a true southpaw option. This bullpen, a pair with Brooks Raley, and then you add in the further stability, right? You're feeling 10 times more comfortable about this Mets bullpen if you go from having AJ Minter and Danny Young to having Danny Coulombe and Brooks Raley, because there's more upside with those two together than there was in getting the best out of Minter and the best out of Young. Because even at his best, Danny Young was not doing too much for us. You add two guys of significance. You're adding a deadline acquisition, and Raley as is once he returns, because that's really the type of impact he'll have more than likely. And then you add in another veteran southpaw who can carve him up just as well. This is exactly what I would be down for if the Mets are not going to go ahead and land more of a flamethrowing option like a Gregory Soto, or to a slight lesser degree, a Garrett Clevenger there, both players that we broke down in yesterday's video that I implore you guys to check out after watching this one. But that is what we have to talk about, Mr. Danny Coulombe there, everybody. Very exciting, very enticing. Now let's just see if the Mets are going to find themselves landing him in the end. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below on Danny, guys, because now let's go on from talking about Danny to get into the other key report that has dropped over the past 24 hours or so. And this is what you guys can see right here. Let me pull it up for each and every one of you. Let's get this set, and then we will go from there. I also would like to send my condolences, as you guys see right there, to the former Mets doctor there, David Altchek. Very, very sad news, as he unfortunately tragically passed away this past day at the young age, I believe, of 68 or so. He was not only doing a great job as the Mets mother, leading the doctors, but was also the guy for Tommy John surgery as well. So a tragic loss, a sudden loss there for the Mets on the medical field that no one was anticipating to see anytime soon. My thoughts and prayers are with David's entire family throughout this time of grief. And if you guys did not see the news, that it is there, as Steve Cohen and Alex came out with their own official statements on losing David this past 24 hours or so. But going on now, everybody, from talking about that very unfortunate news regarding David, let's get into the latest news here in regards to Mitch Keller. Because as you guys can see right here, the Mets are not only in the market for Mitch Keller, but it appears that they may very well be the top dog for Mitch Keller at the time of us talking right now. And shout out Sleeper Mets here, who first had this on X, but this was initially reported from Noah Hiles. For those that don't know Noah Hiles, this is where it stems from here. Noah does a fantastic job on the beat there for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and Noah was the one who first reported the Mets' initial trade interest in Mitch Keller going back to 2 weeks ago, back when the Mets actually reached out to the Pirates and were starting to have those trade talks. There were no players actively discussed from what we knew, but those talks were at least continuing, and they're actually ongoing. And as you see here, the Mets are still in the running for the Pirates starting pitcher Mitch Keller and could be considered the front runners. And that's important that the Mets can be considered front runners, everybody, because in case you guys don't know how rock solid of a starter Mitch Keller is, let me enlighten you, because we've talked about him endlessly. I talked about him again yesterday. I'm talking about him again today, and I feel like I'm going to talk about him every single day until we find out where Keller's being dealt, if it's not going to be the Mets from now up until the deadline. Because Mitch Keller, as we see right here, everybody, what Keller has been doing so right this season: 20 games, 119 innings, a 3.5 ERA, a 3.8 expected ERA, just over a 3 FIP, just over a 4 SI ERA, which I don't love, but it's over 1 WHIP, 92 Ks, right around a 7 K per 9 to a 2 walks per 9. Not striking out guys at an elite rate, but he's so fantastic at commanding the strike zone. This is Mitch Keller's MO every single year. Even if his strikeout per 9 is not overly enticing, he's never going to be walking guys at an alarming rate to have you overly concerned. And knowing that he still has 3.5 years left of control on his contract at $71 million total, this is a guy that the Pirates wouldn't mind shedding salary. Oh no! What do you mean the Pirates have a contract that they wouldn't mind dumping? Sounds like a day that ends in Y. Why? Because they're schmucks and never want to allocate proper dollars for their organization and the fans that most certainly deserve it. So, and they're going to continue to act in incompetence, which we know they're going to. They're going to be sellers at this year's deadline, meaning that the Mets have a great chance not only pounce here, but to land a starter that still has more to give. Now, why I like Mitch Keller so much isn't just about what he has done with the Pirates, when, mind you, he has been uber consistent. If we look at Keller throughout his career, right, he has been on a stretch going back to the 2022 season with a 3.9 ERA. And then he had a 4.2 in 2023. He had a 4.2 in 2024. He's had a 3.5 this season. He's been very consistent in what you're getting. And what stood out a lot about him this year has just been tremendous job at eliminating the home run ball. Last year, he was giving up home runs. Each of the past 2 seasons, mind you, had a rate of 1.16. This season, it's dropped by a full home run per 9. It's down to a 0.68 or so. That's really impressive there. We look at the ground ball percentage. It's up roughly 5% from where it was a season ago there, which is encouraging as well. And you're just loving what you're getting right now, I think, in someone like him. So I'm actually really enticed on not only what Keller has done, but what he could do in this Mets pitching lab, because Keller gives me similar vibes to the Tyler Glasnows and the Garrett Coles of the world. Not saying that he's going to go and be as dominant to that degree, but what I am telling you is that Keller has all the potential in a pitching lab and a change of scenery in an organization that not only knows how to spend, but to allocate those dollars well for the better for players in the organization, how they can maximize, get the best out of Keller with the current lab that the Mets are cooking with. And that is where this is enticing. So now you say to yourself, if the Mets are actually the front runners right now, there's a great reality they're going to land a starter, right? There are some fans out there going the lengths of saying, oh, you know, my sources tell me that the Mets are not going to be involved in the starting pitching market at the deadline. Well, unless the Mets land a starter before then, which could be the case here in Keller, I'm going to go on a limb and say that your sources don't know what they're smoking. And the reason why I say that is I have confidence from people that I've spoken to well within the industry over the past 2 weeks on what the current MO is with the Mets and how David Stearns is thinking. And from everything that's been relayed my way, and I don't say this lightly, and I don't say this often, mind you, I don't make these comments unless I feel very confident in relaying them, is the fact that what you guys have been seeing and the Mets being actively involved in Keller, now potentially the top dog, the front runner to land Mitch Keller via trade. You look at the Miami Marlins and Edward Cabrera, the Mets have been in that market. You look at the various other markets the Mets have been in, they're not going to go with any stone unturned. And the idea that the Mets, they're just going to add in one area, they're not going to do anything. The only difference here is that the Mets might add players that you don't want them to add. That's what it comes down to. The Mets are most certainly going to be adding a starter more than likely. But what starter are they going to land? Is it going to be a Mitch Keller? Is it going to be a rental like an Andrew Heaney? Is it going to be an Adrian Hauser reunion that no one wants? Like, what is the line that we're at when it comes to the quality of pitcher the Mets are going to land? A lot of fans are concerned that they were going to have another Paul Blackburn type pickup, and it might be more of a back-end starter. It might not be someone of this quality because maybe the asking price is just too high and Stearns will not go there. Regardless on how you feel about that as fans, I'm just relaying you the possibilities here to not necessarily get your hopes up on, it has to be this guy, it could be a wide variety of players. But the same way it could be a wide variety of players for a starter is most certainly the same way it's a wide variety of players as a reliever, a wide variety of players to a degree on the hitting front. The Mets are planning to add in all those respective areas. Expect them to land at minimum one reliever, at minimum one starter, and potentially one bat. The emphasis probably more on the bullpen than anything else right now, but the fact that you're having further reporting come out of Pittsburgh's camp to tell you that the Mets are the front runners is telling that not only do they like Mitch Keller, but they more than likely have discussed, I'm sure, to at least certain degrees, players that they would be willing to give up. And what would the Pirates want in a trade for Mitch Keller as multiple years of control? If I'm Pittsburgh, I'm thinking I would love to get my hands on one of the Mets' top pitching prospects. You want as much club control as possible, right? Guys are far away from their RBers. That's where it makes sense. Do I want them to trade a Brandon Sproat, a Noel McLean, a Jonathan? No, I do not. But would I be comfortable if they traded maybe some starting pitching prospects outside of that three-headed monster? Yeah. Would I lose sleep at night if the Mets traded Brandon Sproat and basically almost like a one-for-one for Keller, or, maybe that and one other piece because you're getting immediate impact now and for the years going forward versus uncertainty that is Sproat? I would probably lose sleep over that first night just because I do think that there's still upside with Brandon, and I don't know if Keller moves the needle enough to warrant giving up that heralded out prospect. But at the same time, you have to give to get. And the Mets are just one of multiple teams in the market for Keller. We know that the not Miami Marlins. We know that the New York Yankees are in the Keller market. We know that the Blue Jays are in the Keller market, and we know the Blue Jays will be desperate as all hell to make a big splash happen by this year's deadline. No one should be surprised by that. We think of the abundance of teams that will be in the Keller market. The Mets are going to land Mitch Keller. They're going to have to give to get. And if it's not going to be those pitching prospects, then you look at what is the next immediate solution where the Mets have an abundance of. It's their infield options. And could there be a world where the Mets trade away someone that they think is boxed out, and the Luis Angel Acuñas, the Ryan Mauricios, the Brett Beattys, and the Mark Vientoses? Yes, there is a reality where that could happen. And it makes even more sense if the Mets trade away one of those pieces, and they not only land Mitch Keller in a trade to add a formidable, rock-solid mid-rotation starter with upside to be, at best, I would say a 2 in your rotation, because I think Keller has that upside and a lab while still blossoming and still has plenty to give in his career. But if it's not going to be just Mitch Keller, then you might as well go ahead and land Mr. David Bednar in the process as well. And that's what we talked about as an option in yesterday's video, so I implore you guys to check out again in case you haven't already, because David Bednar is as dominant of a reliever as they come in baseball right now. After having that fickle 2024 up and down season, Bednar looks back to the old Bednar that we like to see, which is a dominant setup, if not closer option for what would be this Mets team. And Bednar is getting a lot of hot suitors as a guy that is under club control until 2027 offseason. And the Mets are more than likely going to be in that market if they aren't reportedly already. 2.5 ERA, sub-3 expected ERA. Bulldog, roughly 13 strikeout per 9 to a 2.5 walks per 9. Yes, please. 10K to walk ratio is as good as you can possibly ask for from any reliever in baseball. And the idea of pairing Bednar as a setup man to Edwin Diaz and then to be the alternative closer option when Diaz has worked on back-to-back days, not many better options than that. So if you're going to go ahead and make a splash bets, why just stop at Mitch Keller? If you're really the front runners for him, go ahead and land a key reliever to check off 2 boxes instead of 1 and kill 2 birds with 1 stone. That is what I have to say about that. Now, I can say that easily without realizing just how much of a cost it'll come to land 2 really good pitchers, multiple years in control, 1 dominant reliever, and 1 decently high upside starter. For all those reasons, again, you're going to have to give to get. But the Mets are not only in this market, but they're deemed as a front runner for a reason. So this is something that we're going to continue to be patient and wait to see what happens on the front of what is next for the Mets, making moves from now leading up to the MLB trade deadline. So Mets fans, I want to hear from you guys in the case of David Bednar, Mitch Keller, and obviously Danny Coulombe. Which players do you like the most and why? Are you for the Mets pursuits for these players? Are you against them? Whatever your thoughts are, please just relay them again in the comments down below, everybody. Thank you so much for going ahead and doing exactly that. And before we get out of here, everybody, I have one final thing that I got to share with each and every one. If you've been following the platform, then you know exactly what it is. In case you haven't, let me enlighten you, because we have a very special event upcoming and not even 2 weeks from now, everybody. So let's go ahead and showcase what exactly that is. It's Wardy here, and as you can see, we are at gorgeous Citi Field, and folks, you can get the ultimate, the prime experience with your guy Wardy at our first ever official Wardy Day, August 1st, Mets San Francisco Giants there for the evening game. The day after the MLB trade deadline, you, your friends, your loved ones, select Mets fans will get the ultimate experience with your guy Wardy. Not only are we going to hang out at the ball game together, but folks, look at this seating. We're going to be live here in the left field lounge. You guys will be able to chop it up with your guy Wardy. We're going to be debating as to who's the best pitcher of the rotation outside of Kodai Senga. We're going to be talking about who's the next best prospect to get called up. How do we feel about the trade deadline acquisitions? And guys, as you get back up here then, we are going to be giving you a $18 drink voucher, and with that drink voucher, you guys are going to be able to hit up the bars that we have right outside of here. So easy, so accessible. Again, prime seating, a truly fantastic experience. Our first ever Wardy Day here at Citi Field, guys, where you will get a chance to hang out with your guy Wardy. And the best part too, not only is it this amazing lounge in left field that you guys will hang out with me, but we're going to be on the field, pre-game access there for a group photo op. So I hope to see you, all you amazing Mets fans there. Click the link if you guys haven't already there to check out our available tickets, and let's go Mets. And not only are we going to be sitting here throughout the course of the ball game, you guys can also check out these seats that we have access to all here in the bar area here, right at the Milagro, where you guys can utilize your $18 drink voucher. Again, this is going to be at Wardy Day, August 1st, 2025. Oh wait, yeah, almost forgot. It's also fireworks night. Bang! Hope to see you guys there. Again, guys, Wardy Day 2025. Tickets down below. Pin comment. Make sure you check it out. Let's go Mets, baby. And also, before I get out of here, official word, Brooks Raley has just been officially activated by the Mets. Love to see that. So we'll talk more about that and see how he debuts potentially as soon as tonight. Be on the lookout for our post-game coverage throughout the entire series against the Reds, and a very special Saturday edition of WardyNYM content, as we are going to be live pre-game for the David Wright ceremony, as well as post-game, further breaking down, hopefully, a series victory for the Mets over the Reds. Until then, everybody, have a fantastic rest of your night, day, evening, whenever you're watching this. This is your guy, Wardy, signing out. Let's go Mets, baby. Peace out, everybody.